My game plan for this channel is basically just to test out anything that I like, anything that's in my life. Everything from mowers to newer sawmill equipment to side-by-sides, trucks, just anything I can get my hands on. I love testing stuff. I like to be as unbiased as possible. It's hard to be fully unbiased if you really like something, but most of the content that I put on here will try to be as unbiased as possible. I went to the GIE this weekend, and as you can see on the channel, there's quite a bit of footage from it. But I was talking with John Deere and telling them I'd never ran a John Deere. My neighbors have a John Deere, and I think it's a 920. I'm not for sure. But anyway, they go up to, I think, a 997, which is a diesel, and then a 970R. But I was talking with the guys at John Deere, super helpful guys, very eager to get people to test their equipment out and stuff. Very helpful too. And so they called their local dealer, and I know a lot of you guys on here said to test a John Deere. So that's another reason I wanted to. But all they had was a Z930M, which is not anything to compare to the Hustler Hyperdrive, but it still has the same deck, from my knowledge, as the other ones. Now, it may or may not. I'm not 100% sure. I'll look in the literature, but I've got one here today, and I'm going to test it out. I'm not necessarily going to pit it against the Hustler Hyperdrive in every aspect, but I'm going to do the cut quality and other things on it. So I'm just going to show you guys the unit that I got and let you see it, and then we'll do some tests on it and kind of check it out and see how it does. Like I said, it's a Z930M. So here it is. I am not 100% sure. Let's see when it was manufactured. I don't see it on there, but I think this is a 22 model. It's a demo. It's got, let's see how many hours it's got on it. 36.1. Now I'm gonna tell you, whoever they've been demoing this to, I want to show you guys the blades on it. I'm gonna have to take them off and sharpen them, just so it's, you know, a fair comparison on cut wise, because, you know, a lot of people say these cut really well. This does not have the mulching on demand on it. I wish it did, but they plan on later on getting me a higher end series. But let me show you these blades and how this deck looks. And this only has 36 hours on it. So the people that are renting these out, or whatever they're doing, but look at that blade. I don't know that I've ever seen a blade that is eat up that bad. When I get them out of there, I'll show you guys. But that thing, it's going to take a minute to get that back to where it even looks normal. I mean, it looks like shrapnel. But I was trying to tell them that I had a Hustler Hyperdrive, which they're not that familiar with it. And so this is more or less what I'm going to test as far as the cut and everything. And you guys can let me know what you want to see. But they are going to let me, there's a rep coming down, and they have a mean green rep that is supposed to bring out all the mean green machines and let me do testing on them. So I'm going to pit that against the Hustler Hyperdrive in every aspect. But this is more or less going to be something to show you cut quality of a John Deere, stripe quality. What's up, little man? Come on down here. Woo-hoo! This has a 25.5 horsepower motor on it. It says John Deere, but it's a Kawasaki. Look at this. So I sharpened these up the best I could. If you look at what they looked like before, I mean, they were completely... These blades are high in the center and low on the sides. I'm assuming they come like that. All right, so I've set both of these on 4, and basically what I want to do is make sure that it's 4 inches at the bottom of the blade, because John Deere runs a cupped blade, and this runs a flat blade. So I want to make sure that when we're both cutting, that from the bottom of the concrete to the tip of the blade, like the bottom part, that it's 4 inches. And that way we can see what we're getting, and we're not dispersing clips. Like if this says 4 and this says 4, but this is cutting at 4 1/4, the clippings are going to be a 1/4 inch longer if it doesn't chop them up as well. So I just want to try to get as close a comparison so you guys can see cut quality. Like I said, this video isn't necessarily to pit these two against each other, because this isn't their highest end model yet, and this is the highest end model for a Hustler. This is a 66-inch deck, so it is going to be taking a whole lot more grass into the deck than this is, but we'll still get an idea of how each are cutting, the ergonomics of it. This is Brian, my neighbor, and I'm going to let him drive the John Deere. He's drove, they have a 920M, right, Brian? And he's drove quite a few of those, so that way he's used to it and knows all the stuff on it, because this little deck thing here kind of had me all knotted. I couldn't figure exactly how it worked. I had to mess with it long enough. And this is the first John Deere that I've ran, but I'll kind of give you guys a walk around. Wells, you're in a walk around, you know that? What are you doing? Give you a walk around of both. They're sitting side by side so you can kind of see how they look. Another thing, this has 37 EFI, so it's fuel injected. This is carbureted. I can tell you that the steering on this is much stiffer than the Hustler, which I'm sure some people will love and some people will hate. So that's one of the things that you have to decide for your personal preference. The seats feel about the same. This one doesn't have the spring-loaded spindles, but you can get those from a company. There's a separate company that makes those. It has the 7-iron Pro 60. From my understanding, that's their top-of-the-line deck. At least that's what the guy at John Deere said. I'm not sure, but I plan on later on getting like a 970 or one of those to really compete against the Hustler. This has a 25.5. Says John Deere. Like I said, I think it's Kawasaki though. Looks like it's got some weights on the back. Maybe that'll help with the center of gravity. We're going to test these on the Hillside. We're going to test them cutting and just a few other things and see how they do. All right, so we've got both of these set on 4. You can see this right here. Let me turn it around there. See right here, you've got the 2 notches down, and right here's your drop pin. All right, so both of these are on. So you just hold that. So I'm gonna measure from here to the concrete and see what we get. So that's at 4 1/4, a little bit over 4 1/4, almost 4 3/8. So let's see what this one's at. All right, scoot back, Wills. This one's at 3 3/4. All right, so they're both, one's a 1/4 inch high and one's a 1/4 inch low. So we'll basically move the Hustler up to 4 1/4, and that way they're sitting identical when they're cutting, and that way we get the same height of cut. It's wild to see that each of them are off that much. So he just tried to make a pass and the deck didn't drop on that for some reason. So he's gonna come back up that and make a cut on the same path he just went down, because mine cut and he didn't. Come here, Will. All right, so this stripe is Hustler's and this is John Deere's. I'm gonna get down in there and try to find some of the, you know, spots, but you guys can see this is Hustler's. This is a 66-inch deck. And this one is, and I'll turn the other direction too, because I know the grass is facing me. This is a John Deere's. I've just sharpened the blades on both of them. And it's already cutting in the path of the Hustlers, so it's not hitting any opposing grass or anything like that. Let's look the other direction. This is a John Deere's. I'll tell you, I can't even tell a difference. Can you? They look identical. I mean, there's not scragglers or anything. It looks the same. You guys can see across it. But both of them look like they cut identical. We'll make a few more passes opposing each other in the grass and try to do it at a quicker rate and just see how they do, because I don't know how. I didn't even pay attention to that one. You're not even pushing it, are you?
No.
Okay, good. We're trying to go at a pace it can chop it up. Now, Brian has never driven a Hustler hyperdrive. We're gonna see what he thinks about it, and then I'm gonna run the John Deere. Hold on. What's your initial impressions?
That's a mower right there. No comparison. I'll take that any day.
You like that?
Yeah, that's amazing.
What do you like about it? Like, what if you was going to tell someone, like, you drove John Deere for a while now? Like I said, the people that are looking at these, you guys have to understand, this is a 930, so it's not their top line. They have a 970 that has, I think these are 13 cc pumps and those are 16 cc pumps on the highest one. But as far as your deck and your driving, they're going to drive the same. Now, he's just drove this for the first time. He's never been on a hyperdrive. He's never, what all have you mowed? You mow with a John Deere, right?
That's it.
That's it. So you mow with John Deere. Now, they have a 920 and this is a 930. So he said that his didn't have the suspension seat. This one has the suspension seat, so he said this one rides way better than theirs. Now, tell me what you think about that, like after you drove it.
That's much smoother.
Is it? It's smoother?
Yeah, way smoother.
Okay, like as in ride quality, or is it?
It's in ride quality, and it's more power in general, you can tell.
Sure.
Which you're going to find out when you get on that.
Yeah, okay. So
It's much better.
it's just an all-around, you feel like that. How did you feel about the steering, though? Like, some people really like that it's lightweight, and then some people want it super stiff like that. How did you feel after coming off something and that being, steering-wise, that being that smooth?
I do like it better.
You do?
But because I'm used to that,
It felt weird.
it felt odd, yeah.
Yeah, I know. See, that felt odd to me, the John Deere, as soon as I got on it, because it was so stiff to move the controls. And if you've never driven one of these, the levers are pretty much spring-loaded. And so they're soft from front to back. You don't have any hard pull whatsoever. You can take two fingers and put on there and drive this thing if you have to with one hand. It's that easy to move the levers. Like I said, some people are gonna like that, some people aren't. But this one has a much bigger motor and much bigger pumps. Like I said, we're not trying to pit apples to oranges. We're just trying to give you guys some info on these mowers and let you guys see unbiased opinions on what people think. This has 26-inch tires and this has 24s. The front spindles on that do not flex. I don't know if you noticed, but your front spindles on that flex. So when you're going across terrain, that's probably why it's smoother too. Okay. They float. But I'm super thankful. This is my neighbor and he helped me. And this is such a great deal. Like I said, we're going to try to give you guys as unbiased opinions as possible. So I just made 3 passes. I'm sure Brian was videoing in and got that. The things that I noticed about the John Deere is it's a very, very stiff feeling. When you're mowing, you feel every bit of the terrain, and there's nothing that you don't feel in the ground. It's almost as if you're walking barefooted compared to shoes. A lot of the reason you're going to have that is because these are 24s, those are 26s, as I had said previously. The mower seems to cut fine, and it seems to have decent speed, but what I really noticed is this one, I could wide open mow. Like I just, me mowing wide open, and it's that the wide open on this is about quarter throttle on that. And I don't know if you got to see that or got to feel that. Like, I don't know if you even got into that one's like high end range and stuff.
And all the way.
Yeah, well, this this has the littler pumps on it. Like I said, I'll post a picture of the specs on this, but this just rides way rougher. This is if you was mowing a lot during the day, you're going to be a lot more fatigued on this compared to that. And like I said, I don't know if the 970R has anything different as far as how the comfort is and stuff. The handles feel great in this. The smoothness of it is fine. The cut quality seems great. As you guys can see, I can't even hardly tell a difference in the 2 passes from this mower to that mower. And like I said, this grass isn't super tall. I cut weekly, but I haven't cut this in 2 weeks. We haven't had a lot of rain in Kentucky, so comparing this to that, as far as cut quality, we may have to wait until spring and then get some that's real thick and lush. But I don't think that you're going to have all your newer zero turns in your high-end models are going to cut extremely well. They say that this is a stamped deck, and so they think that it keeps airflow better instead of one that's welded, so you've got grooves in it and panels that are welded in there. But this mower, to me, and like I said, I'm not 100% sure what the difference in this and a 970 is as far as the ergonomics, because I know both of them run a 24-inch tire, and I think they've got the same size front casters. But like I said, I'll post up a complete spec sheet in this video. But this is just, like I said, this is just a rougher mower. That has the flex spindles on it, which is an option. So maybe if you put the Z glides on this, and I don't know if you could put 26s or not, but I still don't think that it's going to be as smooth as that. There's just something about the Hustler hydraulics and stuff and how they set it up. I noticed that Hustler is a wider footprint, and I'll put them back to back so you guys can see that. But a wider footprint isn't really going to affect your ride quality. But as far as just buying a mower for cut quality, I think that all of your upper end units are going to have good cut quality. What stands out to me is comfort and cutting grass at speeds that are unheard of in most mowers. I think the top end speed on this is 10 mile an hour, and the top speed on that is 16 to 18. So you're going to have a big difference, and you can actually cut faster on that because it's so much smoother. If you're cutting grass and you're going wide open and you're bouncing all over the place, and this one, like I said, it's not that it's hard to drive, but when you feel the whole machine start to shake, you have to slow down or your deck's going to be going everywhere. And that's going to be harder to get in video because we're not actually trying to pit this fully against the Hustler. We're just trying to give you guys the best opinions on some higher end mowers and why we like what we like and why we use the mowers we're using. I've tested quite a few mowers out here. I've had a Skag Cheetah, an Exmark Laser Z, a Husqvarna Z560X, a Dixie Chopper Classic, the highest end model of that. It was a 72. All the others were 60s, and now my Hustler is a 66. And that's another thing, like on this big property, Hustler is one of the only ones that offers a 66-inch cut. All the others are 60 or 72, and a 72 on any uneven terrain will scalp. So you can get a 66 and not scalp like a 72 does, but you're still cutting 6 more inches in your passes, and that gives you a way better position to knock down properties at a faster speed. It's a beautiful mower. I actually love the color of it. I'm not a huge fan of yellow, but I think when you guys, even if you go and you get a 970, like I said, we're going to try to get one on the property and test it out. I think that John Deere makes great products, and I know a lot of you guys on here said to get a John Deere and test the cut quality, but I think that when you're looking at cut quality, I don't know if you guys could tell the difference. Me and Brian couldn't tell any difference in the cut quality. I mean, it just seemed like they were like they were the same cut, and that one's a 66, so it's taking on more grass at the same time that this is a 60, and you've got 6 inches less on this deck, and you're still seeing the same cut. But anyway, you guys let me know in the comments what you think, and what mowers you'd like to see me test. I plan on getting some Mean Greens out here. Those are all electric, and I'm super excited to test those. All right, give you guys some side-by-side video. What I thought was odd was this, with this running a 26 and this running a 24, look how much lower the center of gravity is on the Hustler. Do you see that? That John Deere sits at a minimum of 2 inches higher than the Hustler, even your seat. And so if you put 26s on this, it would set even taller than the Hustler does. You'd have to repitch your deck and everything, but let's give you guys a walk around. see the width difference of the Hustler compared to but you see the seats. Look at the seats. And we measured it from the center of this tire to the front spindle and the center of that tire to the front spindle. This is about 6 inches shorter than this is. One of the final things I wanted to do with this mower, and a lot of mowers I've had out here, mainly just ones with the ZT hydro gear pumps, they struggle on this hill down here. Videos never do it any justice. It's hard to tell, but the Laser Z X-Mark and the Hyperdrive are the two best ones that I've had on it. And some of the others, they really struggle, especially if you go straight over a hill. And I know everybody's gonna say, well, you just need to go sideways and this and that. But if I can buy a mower that I can go up, down, sideways, however I wanna go, and not worry about it, that's what I'm gonna do. And this part right here, a lot of them, once you go over the peak and start to go down, they wanna, when you start to slow it to go down that, they wanna slip, or you have to go fast enough that it keeps a certain speed. On the Hustler and the Laser Z and that John Deere, they just done really well, which I was happy to see that do that. The only thing that I noticed, Hustler's the only one of them that I've drove that the front end doesn't come up. You can't hardly get the front end on that Hustler to come up. It stays down, stays close to the ground. But that John Deere did really well. I didn't test it thoroughly on a hillside because I'm more excited to get like a 930 out here, or a 970R or something like that to really push it against that Hustler. But this will give you an idea of how the John Deere is and some points of it. All right, so we're back at John Deere, and this is a 970R, and I want to show you guys some of the differences. You can see on here that your parking brake is put at your foot, and the wheels are on there. But now he's got the deck lift is in the controls. Can you show them? Dude, that's quick.
Yeah. And then all you do, push the button, it goes up, you can change your deck height, where you want it, lock it back.
I didn't think it would be that quick on there, but that thing's extremely quick.
It's also got a little stop, got a PTO stop on here. So if the blades were turning, you push that and it'd stop the blades.
So he's going to kick the blades on, and he can kick it off. Yeah. With the hand. This is their mulch on demand kit, and it's an option, but you see it opens here, and basically when this opens, it shoots grass flat, and this panel that's in here is completely flat across through there, or it's not as beveled. Now watch when he shuts this. See how that moves? And then he opens it again, and you can see the guard in there, and it basically makes it mulch and keep everything in the deck.